Hello everyone. In this video I would like to talk about some of the mechanics I would like to see back in Cage 4. So without wasting any time, let's talk about these mechanics, shall we? Enjoy. The first mechanic I would like back in Cage 4 will be the parry system. Cage 1 and Cage 2 had a parry system that worked in their own unique way for both games. Parrying in Cage 1 was one of my favorite things to do because it had a risk-reward system that gave tech points for parrying physical or projectiles with the keyblade, which I enjoy doing a lot whenever I see the opportunity. Now if you happen to parry in Cage 2, you will not receive tech points for it but will instead have your parries turn into a guard, which I enjoy the most about Cage 2's combat. I always find it more satisfying to defend an enemy's attack with an offensive approach other than relying on guard because it lets the player challenge themselves with their quick wit and knowledge of the game. I want this mechanic back like heck because it is less present in Cage 3. There are only a few times you can do this in Cage 3, but to me it feels out of place and sometimes will not work at all. What I dislike the most about Cage 3 not having a parry system are the accidental parries that does nothing for the player like Cage 1 and Cage 2. Whenever Sora is parried, the game stops Sora in his track while also punishing him with this delay to his movement for a brief second, giving the enemy a chance to combo Sora, which I can't stand. A move like Vicinity Break and Ripple Drop can stop an attack like this and save Sora, but you mean to tell me a move like Radio Blaster can get parried? Oh, and I'm going to talk a bit more about this in the next segment because this frustrates me the most about this game. Let's move away from Cage for a moment. Look at FF16's parry system here. I was having the time of my life fighting Inferno's Shadow because this game was built on using a parry system that briefly slows time down while also rewarding the player with extra damage to the boss' health and will meter, which to me feels like engaging combat when you reward the player for taking risk. Now you understand why I want this mechanic back in this series. I find it way more fun to approach an enemy knowing that you have the tools and quick wit to challenge a foe and know you will not get punished for risky playstyle just because the game forbids it. Get freaking real. This next mechanic I would like to see back in Cage 4 would be common modifiers with hidden properties. Cage 1 and Cage 2 both had common modifiers in their games that had hidden properties to them. What I mean is that you can have a modifier like Slot Dash do more than reach a faraway target, you can have Vicinity Break do more than clear foes that surround Sora's radius, and the list goes on. Having common modifiers in Cage 1 and Cage 2 with hidden properties to them added more sauce and variety to the combat while keeping things fresh with each new modifier Sora learns along the way, while also making the fights and combat more engaging. Another reason why I want modifiers to have hidden properties to them in Cage 4 is that it will make fights less painful and you wouldn't have to camp each mob fight whenever you felt overwhelmed because you will have the proper tools to counter the situation at hand. When I play a game like Cage 2 and fight multiple enemies on screen as base Sora with those modifiers, I feel 70% safe because I know one of Sora's common modifiers will protect Sora from an off-screen attack, and I don't have to rely on drop form to do crowd control because base Sora's arsenal was built for this kind of scenario. Now when I play a game like Cage 3 as base Sora with the vanilla and DLC modifiers, I feel 90% unsafe and combat feels really weird because for some reason it feels like the game is holding base Sora back from fighting to his full potential, which is one of my many frustrations when I play this game. Cage 3 combat annoyed me so much I uninstalled the game from my PC and hadn't played it for 2 years only to reinstall it for the sake of this video because this game just isn't as fun to replay like Cage 2. Sorry if I used Cage 2 as an example in this video too much, but Cage 2 just did it right and knew how to make the combat not just flashy but also add weight behind the flashy moves Sora did. To end off this segment, I would like to show you this raw footage of my excitement just to show you how much fun I was having while pulling off this risky and engaging finish, and I popped off hard. Why is it so hard to get this kind of reaction I just had here from Osaka Team's other cage games? Moving on. Osaka Team, please take note of this last mechanic I would like back in Cage 4, which are the Invincibility Frames. I really don't know why Osaka Team has this vendetta with iframes whenever a character is knocked down and manages to land only to get hit after. Why would I want this mechanic back anyway? Because I find it more safe to be able to choose when to recover and let the character land on the ground completely to have access to their iframes, but that situation will vary though. I don't find this mechanic as broken, especially since K2 for the most part have a attack in a ton of fights that will knock Sora out of his stagger size once more state, which I will show some examples of here. Now if those kind of attacks were in Cage 4, then this will force the player to recover quickly before the follow-up attack cancels their once more or finish Sora and side character off. To keep it short, Cage 3 does not have invincibility frames after Sora takes damage, and Sora will automatically right himself out of his stagger pose if he is too high in the air. Well, that about concludes this video. I know this might be short, but I did not plan for this to be a long form video, and I could have gone further with more mechanics I would like to see in Cage 4, but I'll just leave it at that. Let me know down below what mechanics you would like to see back in Cage 4. I love to hear them. Also, if you have any disagreement with what I say here, you are more than welcome to say what's on your mind. Just keep it respectful and no disrespecting other people's opinion on the subject, and we are good. Until next time. Also, please bring back the glide hovering because that was the coolest thing ever. As promised,